Armchair commanders, we call the shots. From our living room thrones where the action's hot. We're the generals of fiction, the masters of war. In silver screen battles with buttered popcorn. Armchair commanders, armchair commanders.
All right, welcome to the Armchair Commanders podcast. My name is John.
And I'm Jack.
And this week, I can't believe that it has taken us 99 episodes to get to this, but we are doing a Mel Gibson classic. Kapla!
Yeah.
We Were Soldiers. So we're going back to Vietnam, baby.
Soldiers doth we were.
I gotta say, bonus points, because I think this is the first... No, maybe Deer Hunter didn't have it. This is the first Vietnam film that I recall that didn't have Fortunate Son in it.
I don't think Deer Hunter had it.
I mean, they're too busy with their fucking 3-hour wedding scene.
Did Platoon have it?
Maybe not.
Did The Greatest Beer Run Ever have it? Our first Vietnam movie?
You know what? Shut up. You and I both know that is a prerequisite in popular media to play fucking CCR.
It is. Won't deny that. How else would we know?
I found it hilarious, like, especially when I was a kid, and like when Call of Duty Black Ops came out, like the original one, not Call of Duty Black Ops 7. And the first level where you are in Vietnam starts off with CCR.
Yeah, the Siege of Khe Sanh. Even though during the Siege of Khe Sanh that song didn't exist yet, but details.
You know, as you know, despite the fact that Black Ops was a little out there, like, I really liked the Vietnam levels. Like, those were some really well done levels for that game. Indeed.
Just that fucking wall of enemies coming at you.
Like, especially like the city combat too. Like the shit was on top of it.
Yeah,
but we're not here to talk about black cocks.
Even though I wish we were.
You like my little Freudian slip there?
Yep. For our audience, Freudian slip is when you say one thing but mean your mother.
Ha 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 ha.
Thank you. But anyway,
Miranda would really appreciate that joke.
Mm.
So she did start this film with me. She came in during like the last final charge scene. And the first thing she said, like, so, you know, they're leading this bayonet charge and it's this fucking awesome slow-mo shit. And I noticed she's there because she's like, was the like speck of blood on the camera lens really necessary? And I'm like, yes. And then when she's like, so she came in at that point and then made it about 2 minutes until the Huey made a gun run and just tore people apart. And then she's like, I'm done. I'm like, glad having you.
Good talk, coach.
I was like, it is a shame you did not start this film with me because Sam Elliott was an absolute fucking treasure in this film.
I almost didn't recognize him, I'm gonna be honest.
I wonder how much they had to pay him to shave his mustache off.
A lot. A lot.
Like, Sam Elliott plays like, to be fair, Sam Elliott just plays himself.
Yeah, we know this.
But for some reason, him playing himself in the role of Sergeant Plumley or Sergeant Major Plumley just like fits absolutely perfectly. Like, I would say almost every, like, my top 5 scenes in this movie, 4 of them involve Plumley.
Plumley?
That's right. How do you know what kind of goddamn day it is?
Get up, son. You can't get any good pictures hiding like that.
And you sons of bitches call me grandpa, I'll kill you.
The war.
Plumley reminds me of what my dad was when he was still in the military.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so maybe there's just some like childhood like trauma associated with that. But all-time favorite scene out of this entire movie is Mel Gibson or Colonel Moore. He is just dealt with the death of one of his lieutenants who he was really close to, had like a super personal moment of like praying together in a church before they go off on their deployment. And, he finds his lieutenant's body in the field and like has this very emotional breakdown, very humanizing, like in front of his troops. And it's a super powerful scene. And he's talking to Plumley and he's like, I wonder if this is what Custer felt like when he led his men into a slaughter. And Sam Elliott saves the day. His response is, Sir, Custer was a pussy. I'm like, fucking right.
Damn right.
Hell yeah.
Now let's go get some Viet Congs.
I think there was a missed opportunity for a great, an additional line for Sam Elliott. Because after they complete the charge, like, I think it would have been perfect. Because, it would have been like, Colonel Moore's like, do you think this is how Custer felt? There's a perfect opportunity after they break through the Vietnamese lines and like drive them back and like seize the battlefield for Plumley to come up to him and be like, sir, now you know what Crazy Horse felt like. Like that would have been a fucking perfect like full
Callback.
circle. Yeah.
Man, we should be writers.
I know. Our talent is wasted. So what was your favorite aspect of this film?
How close is the fighting? And as if to punctuate that sentence, he shoots the guy that about bayoneted him.
That is so obviously I think we're going to be having the propaganda talk here in a bit. But something I think this film does extraordinarily well is weaving all of these individual characters from all different sides of the story into this one bigger picture. And like, I don't want to overuse this statement, but there's so many powerful moments in this film that you almost kind of, it can become easy to overlook them. And I think the Vietnamese soldier is one of these moments because we spend just a little bit of time getting to see him, know him. Like the movie humanizes him. We see him writing in his journal. He's got a picture of his wife, girlfriend, whatever in his journal. We see him go through like his inner turmoil of like going into combat and like him willing up the courage to participate in this attack. And he, full sends it. And then his life is just ended like that. And we also see this soldier's story from the perspective of Colonel Moore, which is he's just one more guy who's trying to kill me. And like seeing those two vastly different experiences intertwined together, like there's so many moments like that in this film that I genuinely think that this film could possibly be a contender for being on the same plane as Saving Private Ryan, like in greatness.
That's a kind of a tall order, but I can kind of see where you're coming from.
I'm not saying it is. I'm saying it's almost there. Because I do have a major fucking gripe in this film, but we will get to that later.
It might have to do with my gripe. May I go first?
Absolutely.
My wife just had a baby today.
Ka-ting! Oh wait, no, he's the one that got fucking napalmed.
Yeah.
Props
So,
to the special effects department because that dude's burnt skin looked way more realistic than Hayden Christensen's in his Darth Vader outfit.
yep. And like Hayden Christensen, he went on to become Darth Vader after Vietnam. Yeah. There's a pipeline.
Yeah.
But
What
yeah,
was it? Was it just the very obvious foreshadowing of I had a baby and then dies 4 minutes later?
yeah, and the delivery behind that,
Okay,
which, if I recall correctly, that happened in real life.
so I read the book, but I read it like a decade plus ago. Um, so honestly, I don't remember. Um, my gripe is associated with how normally when we have a problematic film, we start off like, all right, let's address the elephant in the room. There wasn't really that aspect of it to this film, but my biggest gripe with this film, and it is the thing, this one scene is what is going to prevent this film from getting a 5-star rating from me or a 5 whatever item rating. Um, is the scene where the wife group is meeting for the first time. And one, I really appreciate that scene because this film approaches the home front, the fact, like, it addresses the fact that, you know, war movie is more than just war. Like, there are people at home who still have to live their lives, this, that, and the other. Um, so I really appreciate that scene. But in this scene, they're talking about, like, okay, the military base's laundry area breaks down all the time. And they're like, does anybody have any alternatives? And this one chick is like, yeah, there's this pretty decent place right off of the military base, but they won't let you wash any color clothing. And they're like, what? And they're like, yeah, there's a giant sign in the window that says whites only. And then the one African American woman in the room is like, "Oh, honey, they mean no colored people or white people only." Well, something to that effect. And then this woman, very indignantly from her high horse, is like, "What do you mean? Your husband wears this country's uniform and he's not good enough to wash his clothes in this laundromat?" And I had to pause the film and walk away. I've seen this film so many fucking times, but it's been a minute. And when I watched it, this most recent iteration is the first time that this scene has actually like hit me, or I've really paid attention to it, or I've given it much thought. The Battle of Ai Drang occurs in 65. So pre them going off to combat, it doesn't give us a real timeline. Like I said, it's been a minute since I've read the book, but we can make a general assumption that the training montage occurs 64 probably. Am I not, would you agree with that idea?
Yeah, yeah.
Even I immediately thought about, like, there's always people that are like, oh, I don't get into politics because it hurts my head, or like it's too stressful, this, that. Like, there are lots of people who do not really pay attention or participate in the whole politics thing because it's a stressor in their life they don't want. Whatever. Even if this character was that kind of person, there is absolutely no fucking way that she does not know what Jim Crow is. Like, segregation, Jim Crow, the civil rights movement is the biggest fucking social conversation occurring for the decade prior to when this film is taking place. Like, the fucking bus strikes, the March on Washington, the goddamn Civil Rights Act is passed the year before the Battle of the Ai Drang. unless this woman was like locked away in some sort of fucking basement and never had human interaction with anybody, there's no goddamn way that she does not know what that sign was supposed to mean. And it's just I I get why the scene exists. Like, obviously it's to point out the problems, one of the problems of the time period. It also also great moment because the African American lady's like, I don't need this person's laundromat, whatever. Like, kudos to her, she's doing the strong independent individual speech, like, good job, like, I'm glad for you in that aspect. But it is just mind-boggling stupid, the dialogue that exists here.
Yeah.
Like, also, it really takes away from the seriousness of that movement and that time period to say that there are people who wouldn't even have known that it was going on. Like,
I mean, yeah, people are dumb.
they're
they,
dumb
they're, they're,
people.
the
But they're,
setup for that joke, man.
oh my fucking god. I like I said, I had to pause the movie. I walked away. I I nearly put my head, like, banged my head into a wall because I was like, what the fuck did I just hear? What? I'm sorry I went on my little tirade there. What did you think of this scene?
Dumb. Thought it was really dumb. Like, maybe she was locked in a basement for that long and just honestly to God didn't know.
Oh, it was the 60s. She was probably tied to a radiator before she was sold off into marriage.
God. Yeah,
Oh,
I bet they just wanted to address that elephant in the room.
and I appreciate that, and I think it absolutely deserves its place in the film. But that is the laziest goddamn writing I've ever seen. Very. So for that one scene, that is what prevents this film from getting a fucking 5 whatever rating from me.
Sorry, I had a coughing fit, but that's understandable.
Ugh. But now that we've addressed our gripes, what was your favorite aspect of this film?
I don't know about favorite, but one thing I just want to address is maybe I missed it, but how did they allow Too Tall into the Air Force?
Oh, well, there's always backdoor shenanigans.
Well, I mean, what's the height requirement for the Air Force?
I think currently the Air Force caps pilot height as, like, you can't be over 6'8".
There's no way it's 6'8".
To Google. Also, he wasn't in the Air Force. He was a Army helicopter pilot.
Oh, right. Sure, those have a height requirement too.
Maximum height for Army helicopter pilot. I was not that far off. So, currently, the U.S. Army requires helicopter pilots to have a standing height between 5 feet 4 inches and 6'6".
Oh, okay. So I was wrong.
So mine was a little overestimate, but 6'6" is still a fucking tall person.
Yes.
I would say, like I said, there's probably shenanigans. Also, things were easier to fudge in the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
I will say the Bruce Crandall arc, fantastic. Like, there's, again, going back to my earlier statement, there's a lot of great story arcs in this, and the Bruce Crandall arc, I think, is also a fantastic story. I especially love the the beef that he had after flying his missions all day, and the medevac helicopters basically said, "Fuck that, we're not doing this because we're getting shot at." And so he delivers ammo and then takes wounded back and does that all day. And then when he finally shuts his helicopter down for the evening, like he hops out and like the commander of the medevac helicopters comes over and he's like, "What do you think you're doing?" And he just straight up pulls out a gun and is like, "If you fucking talk to me, I will blow your brains out."
Do not test me.
Great arc. But interesting fact, did you know that Bruce Crandall, the helicopter pilot, would go on to be awarded the Medal of Honor for this battle?
Really? I didn't know
for,
that.
for his actions of continuing to evacuate wounded when the medevac helicopters refused to.
Dang.
It was awarded to him like 30 years after the fact, because that's kind of become a thing in the last like 20 years where presidential administrations will retroactively award Medal of Honors to people from previous conflicts that have either been overlooked or were awarded something else, and so they upgrade it. Like when Biden was in office, he handed out, or didn't hand out, he awarded a couple of Medal of Honors to some Civil War veterans.
Dang.
And obviously, Civil War veterans not alive. So what he did was
Bring our boys home.
they put the Medal of Honor in this like display case, and then they presented it to the living descendants of these soldiers.
Yeah.
But yeah, Bruce Crandall was awarded the Medal of Honor, I'm going to say like 10, 15 years ago. Do. Let's see. When was he awarded it? Well, he's buried in Arlington. Oh, fuck. Okay, so he was awarded it in 2007. He died in 2010. And they promoted him to colonel posthumously after his passing.
Let me see.
So yeah. And he has his... Oh, no, never mind. I was going to say he has his own like statue, but I was mistaken. Just general helicopter statue. But
How dare you,
sorry.
bitch. But I feel like now is a good time to mention this. I bought a game called the Vietnam War not too long ago, and it is just so fucking unhinged.
Yeah.
So many war crimes. You get experience for shooting monkeys and birds. Check it out sometime. And it's in a... The graphics look like a fucking Flash game, and it looks like it has Comic Sans for text, but man.
Hey, you gotta put the money in some places and take cuts in others, you know?
Yeah.
You know, a question that I normally ask very much earlier, but I, for some reason, didn't. Had you seen this movie before?
I have, actually.
So, what number watching of this is it for you?
Second.
Second.
Because I watched this in high school history class.
You had one metal fucking history teacher who if he showed you this film for Vietnam.
He also showed us Saving Private Ryan. What else did we watch? Schindler's List. We watched the entirety of Ken Burns' The 50s documentary.
My high school history teacher showed us the entire Ken Burns Civil War documentary.
Ah, yes, the zooming in and panning of paintings and drawings.
I love the fact that they, on Apple iMovie, that one of the movie effects is literally just called the Ken Burns slide transition.
Uh-huh.
Damn it! Ow!
Fuck, that was loud.
I'm sorry.
You already got the dad sneeze.
Ugh. Yeah. Ugh.
Okay. It took a lot out of you, it seemed.
Yeah, I'm fine.
But yeah, I had a great history teacher. What were you going to say?
I honestly don't remember. The fucking sneeze did like a clean slate on my fucking brain.
Hard reset.
Yeah. I mean, that and my fucking drink is probably not helping. Which, by the way, what are you drinking tonight?
I'm glad you asked. Where the hell is it? There it is. McQueen and the Violet Fog, Ultraviolet Edition, hibiscus berry flavored gin.
Berry flavored gin. That sounds wonderful.
It does. Tastes pretty good. I was gonna get sushi dinner with Sapporo for this, but I didn't. I was asleep.
That's fair. So, what I have today is so like the future dad that I am, I went to the farmer's market with my wife.
Aw.
I know. She wore this cute little sundress. It was very picturesque, if you will. Anywho, there was a stand or a tent there from a company called Downslope Distilling. They're here in Colorado. So I spent probably like 10 minutes there perusing their fine selection, taste testing everything, because you got to make sure that, you know, you're making an informed choice before you buy a bottle, right?
Yeah.
So got myself a nice little buzz off of fucking samples. Anywho, I ended up buying a bottle, and it was a bottle of like a premix cocktail from them, and it's called Clarified Painkiller. And the bottle is done up as like this old timey, like snake oil remedy type thing. It was very fun. It's a rum based drink, and it has like pineapple and vanilla and stuff in it. It tastes kind of like a creamsicle.
Ooh.
It's very yummy. So that's what I'm drinking today. Not sponsored by them, but they could be. They could be.
But we could be.
They could be. They are local. Did you ever wonder how warm that fucking beer in Mel Gibson's pocket must have been when he introduced? I think that's something as an adult that starts to get ruined for me. Because like when I watched this movie as a kid, I'm like, oh, that's a fucking badass. He just pulled a beer out of his pocket to make a friend. Like, fucking cool as shit. 30-year-old John is like, ew, like how warm is that fucking beer that's probably been sitting in his pocket for like an hour plus? Like, I figured I'd just introduce myself to you and give you this lukewarm beer that has been shaken up.
Yeah, definitely nasty.
Also, kind of rude. They took a guy away from the baseball team.
Yeah, like he had shit to do.
Also, from that baseball game, all I could think of was, ow, because they're playing baseball on the fucking tarmac, and the dude slides face first into the base.
I know, right?
And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, yeah, sure, they put down some sand, but that cannot offer enough protection from doing a face first diving slide into pavement.
Yeah, painful baseball.
I don't know. It's no bueno, senor.
No bueno, no bueno.
What did you think of the training montage?
Gotta do a lot of training. You gotta do it fast. You're gonna need a montage.
Montage!
Even Rocky had a montage.
Montage! This movie had not one, but two fucking montages.
Which one was it? Where they were training and then they fucking have a clear radio transmission from Vietnam.
They like jerry rig a fucking antenna to a tree with like a coat hanger and they get radio transmissions from Vietnam.
Which, suspiciously, it sounds like a recording and not an actual live feed. The
radio operator in that game rolled a nat 20, okay?
Damn right.
I think you need to incorporate that into our future little Vietnam D&D game we're going to do.
You know, I would, but it doesn't use a D20. It just uses D6s. But also, remember in Platoon when they send that squad out to lure in the NVA, and like they have a call with them with the radio operator following him and mimicking his movement so it doesn't fuck up the thing, and how shittily it still came in despite presumably being probably not more than 1,000 feet away. But
again, another powerful thing. Like, there's just so much going on in this movie. Like, the fucking air attack scenes, fucking A1.
Oh yeah, they were very well done in this.
Especially like, they get, there's some obvious CGI airplanes in this, but they got a real, like, the prop airplane is called I think it's called Sky Raider. That's a real airplane that they brought in, and like it was real pyro. I'm like, this is a fucking expensive movie. But like all those air attack scenes, fucking phenomenal. Gave me a little aviation hard on.
Everything does though, doesn't it?
I mean, kind of. But kind of going back to that D&D concept. I know I've told you a little bit, and I might be spoiling it, and it might not be a great idea for me to tell you this, seeing as you're going to be the game master. But you know how I said, obviously I'm going to be the radio operator for our game.
Hey.
And I said I wanted to be like a crazy conspiracy theorist, and like part of my character outfit is that like I always wear fucking tinfoil on my head.
Yeah.
Like I anticipate having a bad roll at some point. And when it's like I need a clutch fucking radio moment, but I have a bad roll, I'm going to incorporate whipping out the fucking tinfoil to make my radio work better.
That is a thing. The tinfoil on the rabbit ears TV. I've heard that.
That's
trick.
Exactly what I was thinking.
I'll allow it.
You'll allow it?
I'll allow it. Also, you said you're going with egocentric alignment, right?
Yeah, whatever one is, I don't know.
Selfish
whatever
asshole.
One's okay with war crimes.
That one. But also your interpreter is going with that too.
Has anybody said that they're going to go with like the moral good compass?
The pussy? No, I don't know. I'm pretty sure our gunner is going to go egocentric too. Really, it's just going to be a party of assholes.
Well, if we're all aligned similarly, it might make things easier for us.
Yeah, speed running crimes.
Yeah, we will work together as a team. Better that way, because nobody's going to be a goody two-shoes be like, oh, you can't burn the village. Watch me.
Watch me, liberal.
It's not a war crime the first time.
If no one's alive to report it, did it really happen?
Well, I would say the people at Miley would would disagree with that sentiment.
I mean, there is an entire area called forensics dedicated to this.
Oh, but it's the 60s. What? You know, I watched a video. It came out not too long ago. Are you familiar with the Ask a Mortician?
Yes, I am.
She came out. I'll send it to you. But she came out with a video, and it was Civil War grave robbed.
Ooh, I like grave robbing.
Or actually, I gave away the fucking plot. This person is talking about essentially there was a grave that was robbed, and this woman was in the cemetery doing her thing, noticed that there's a fucking hole in the ground that shouldn't be there, and so she reports it to police. Police comes out, and they're like, okay, and so they contact this dude who's really big in the forensics field, forensic archaeology, all that, and they do their forensic deal with the what was left of the body, because the grave was marked as a Civil War era grave, but the body looked like it had only been there a couple of months.
Interesting.
So they're like, murder?
Murder?
No. Turns out this fucking... So somebody tried to grave rob this grave, and got freaked the fuck out when they noticed that the Civil War body was actually still pretty much preserved. Like, because it was in a lead coffin. So it was like hermetically sealed.
What?
So the body that they thought was only a couple of months old was actually the Civil War body that was listed on the headstone. It was just remarkably well preserved.
Why was it fucking lead? Were they trying to keep him in?
It was like a wealth status thing back then.
Oh, so he was some son of a rich guy that died in combat.
Yeah, he was an officer.
But
yeah, really weird and creepy.
Man.
But another props to this film about like the realities of war. Like, we see a bunch of death and destruction in this film, but like when we see a person die, like that's not the end of us seeing that person, because the film makes a very pointed decision to be like, there are multiple scenes where it's like, well, here's our stack of bodies over here because we're in the middle of a battle and we can't move them. And like, I feel like that is, for 2002, that is a bold fucking movie choice.
Oh, really?
Yes, I think so.
Why is that?
Because we were immediately post 9/11.
Oh, that's what you're getting at. Okay, yeah.
Which goes into our propaganda talk of the night.
Seeing dead American soldiers was probably something that the moviegoers didn't want to see in 2002.
Correct.
Yeah, I see what you mean now.
So what is your view on this film as far as the propaganda conversation goes?
They do have that bit towards the end where the VC have been routed, run away, and then sometime after the battle, can't have been long, they return, and they're like, the Americans are going to call this a success, right? And they're like, well, it kind of was in a way, but if we keep doing what we're doing right now, getting killed, fighting, running away, and then coming back, we should be good. But a lot of our friends are going to die in this war, and it's going to be a long one.
I love the line because it says they will think this is an American victory, and so this will become an American war.
And that's what they call it, the American War in Vietnam. So that was like a roll credits thing for them.
Yeah.
Dramatically look at the camera. An American War.
Dun, dun, dun.
Not quite as bad as, I think World War II just started. Fuck you, Michael Bay.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
I feel kind of conflicted because this is very pro. It's a very pro U.S. military film. It's obviously very focused on the heroism and individual acts of soldiers. Um, but I feel like it doesn't glorify war itself or doesn't glorify the Vietnam conflict. It doesn't even try and justify the Vietnam conflict. This film is very much this is a battle that happened, and maybe it's kind of a little bit sweepy under the rug or a little kind of like wave of the hand where the main driving idea of this film, at least the way it presents it, is that this is supposed to be a story about the American soldier and their fight for each other, not necessarily for their government or for a set of ideas or whatever, just for the guy next to him. um, so I think that's a point away from the propaganda piece of it, but this film is very like we are fucking owning the day, right?
Yeah.
um, and it does come out immediately after 9/11, right as we're about to go into Afghanistan. We're still, I want to say, like a year out from invading Iraq at the point that this movie comes out. But, patriotism at the time that this film comes out, all time high. Everybody has got a flag in front of their house, got the
Mm-hmm.
yellow ribbon sticker on their car. Um, so I could definitely see how this film would get put in that bank given the time period it was released and the reception of it. That being said, I think looking back at this film 20 plus years later, I'm not sure if it's really. I read one article that labeled this as like neoconservative propaganda. And I see the points that they want to make with that. But I think the value of this film kind of changes the further we get removed from its release. Especially considering like this, if we look back on it retroactively, the is a movie about Vietnam, a notoriously long war that a lot of veterans from that conflict, the public, the reason why we got out of it was, public backlash and kind of, a switch of why are we there, or, you know, what even is this about?
Yeah.
And for this film to come out immediately preceding us getting into another decades plus long conflict that has a very similar result as Vietnam, like I'm not sure if it really takes on that propaganda piece once you take it from the face value lens of that like brother in arms kind of mentality.
Yeah. Another and shit. We were just in time to see our generation's fall of Saigon with the fall of Kabul.
Do you ever see the video of like people falling off the fucking cargo planes?
C-137s.
Yeah,
Man,
it's fucking rough.
that was a whole fucking thing.
But I guess would you count this as propaganda, or what are your views on it?
I don't think I would, because this really did seem to be just about one battle. Because normally about Vietnam, it's when a Vietnam movie comes out, it's like the day to day going on patrol, getting ambushed. But no, this is just one battle, and we could do an entire episode about the parallels between Vietnam and Iraq, Afghanistan, and it it didn't really seem gung ho militarism. Like it said it dedicated time to the Vietnamese side of things, And at the end of the movie, you're still wondering, like, yeah, they made it out, but what major progress did they make aside from 1,800 dead? Because they left the area immediately.
Yeah.
But,
I don't know. I think there should be like a real examination of the 2002 perspective and the today perspective, which honestly we just did that, but like I want like somebody with a PhD to do like some sort of analysis of it.
hey, Amanda or Miranda, don't tell her I
Did you
said
just
that.
call my wife fucking Amanda?
No, I didn't.
Okay, whatever. Maybe we can propose that to John from Tattooed Historian. That seems like it'd be something like right up his alley.
Yeah, get a smart guy on here.
We got a task for you.
Yeah, hey, smart man, say something smart for us.
You're going to college.
Your mom went to college.
Ugh. Oh. Now, in comparison, I know we're about to rate this film itself, but we've done quite a few Vietnam films now. Where does this Vietnam film stack up compared to the other ones that we've watched?
That's a good question. I wasn't prepared for this.
I know I wanted to do a little tricksy on you.
I still think Platoon's my favorite.
Platoon can be your favorite, but is it as good, better, or worse than Platoon, quality wise?
Soundtrack wise, maybe. But man, I don't know. I like it better than Deer Hunter, at least.
Deer Hunter has been my least favorite Vietnam film.
That's hard to argue with.
I would put this at the top for myself.
Really?
This is my number one Vietnam film we've done so far. Second place would be Greatest Beer Run Ever.
Oh yeah, that was a good movie. Also, that book I mentioned not too long ago by Michael Hare, Dispatches.
Yeah.
Remember that part where the other Marines are just, or the other soldiers are just stupefied by him. They're like, "Wait, you don't have to be here, but you're here." And they just like
What
look
is
at him
wrong
like
with you?
yeah, like where they just look at him like he has a squid on his head. That was in the book. So yeah, if you're looking for another,
It kind of relates to the Joe Galloway character. You know, the reporter.
yeah, it's the only thing I've heard all day that makes sense.
I really like that because again, it goes into the weaving of multiple storylines into this and multiple perspectives. I thought he was a great character, and you know, is a great tool for viewing the battle from a different angle. That being said, the fucking photography montage, like, what the fuck, like, I. He's a great character, has a great arc, adds tremendous value to the story. Not to mention, he is a real part of the story. Joe Galloway and Colonel Moore, they wrote "We Were Soldiers" the book together, which is what the movie would go on to be based on. But this stupid fucking like he's standing in the like in front of a green screen type deal while fucking photos he took is rolling in the background, and it's like this is such a fucking deviation from the cinematography of the rest of this fucking film that I just am genuinely confused.
Really?
I don't know. Maybe I'm being overcritical of that aspect, but I was like, this particular scene does not fit.
Huh. Any other things to put about this movie?
Not really. Do you have any final thoughts?
Man, watching this in history class, that was the history class that I got 100% on the final, too. Finally, my learning style is watching things. But anyway, let's see what Rotten Tomatoes has to say about this. What would you give this?
So I thought about the rating of this. Fun fact about Colonel Moore: he was actually promoted to general. I don't remember if it was post career or as a retirement deal, but he's a general. Have you ever heard of Jocko Willenick?
No, I haven't.
He has a podcast. He's very popular in the self help circle. He pretty much started the like Navy SEAL self help book trend.
Gotcha.
It's like the middle management dressed in camouflage type deal. Anyways, before Jocko ever did that, Colonel Moore had his own series of like leadership and self help books. So I found it hilarious that this fucking badass of a warrior beat Jocko to the fucking punch on this. But obviously, I think it was like a year or two ago. You remember when everybody was all up in arms because the DoD and the Biden administration did a thing where they're like, okay, we're going to rename all the military bases that are named after Confederate leaders.
I vaguely remember that.
Yeah, a lot of people bitched and moaned about it. I don't know why. They're fucking traitors. Anyways, you fucking lost. You don't get a goddamn building or fort named after you. Get over it. I wonder how many listeners we just lost from that statement.
None that I care about.
Anyways, I God, what was the fucking? Anyways, when they started renaming forts, I think it was Fort Bragg. It was either Bragg or Fort Benning, one of those two. That they renamed it to Fort Moore after Hal Moore.
Hal Moore.
Yeah, and I'm like, fuck.
I'm down for that.
If we're going to be renaming forts, that is one hell of a fucking choice to rename a fort after.
Yeah.
At least it wasn't Fort Mel Gibson, you know?
Oh, God. That's
So,
even worse.
Now, if we want to talk about propaganda, this is right about the time that Mel Gibson is starting his
Yeah, the
journey.
mask started peeling.
Yeah, the mask started peeling, and he's working on his Passion of the Christ film project deal. Like, there's a lot of heavy Catholicism in this film.
Yeah, that part in the movie where he's like, yeah, let's go kill Viet Cong and also Jews. That was a bit heavy on the nose.
Huh. Nose.
But
for our listeners at home, that's a fucking joke. Don't approve of it.
But anyway, are we ready to put a rating on this?
1 to 5 renamed forts.
That was fucking quick. But yeah, I agree. So let's hear yours.
I give this 4 fully renamed forts, and then the fucking like taco stand also is named after him. So like a 4.25.
Honestly, that's even better. But I was gonna give this 3 forts, and one of them is named Fort Mel Gibson because the N fell off. So 3.8.
Like the N is still there, but it's just like hanging.
Yeah, no one's bothered fixing it, nor will they.
You can see the outline of where the N used to be.
So yeah, 3.8. Now, let's see what Rotten Tomatoes says. 63% on the tomometer, 84% on the popcorn meter.
I buy that, and I agree with the audience score.
Yeah, I agree
I
with that.
totally get why the critics gave it that score, because they're definitely going more with the like propaganda side aspect of this film. But at the end of the day, it is a good movie to watch. It is entertaining. You do learn stuff from it. Like if you are an action film person, if you are a war film person, like it is a good movie to watch. Is there problems with it? Absolutely. But I think the the grand sum total of what this film gives you more than makes up for its issues.
I agree. It's a very worthwhile movie to watch. If only once.
Yeah, it is worth a minimum of a once watch through.
I agree. Anything else?
No, so that's been We Were Soldiers.
Yeah, and keep your eye open for our tabletop adventures this summer. Armchair Commanders presents 5-1 patrol campaign.
I am very excited for this.
You know,
I am not excited for the fucking technical headaches it's about to cause us, but
we'll burn that bridge when we get to it.
oh, we're burning bridges in this fucking campaign.
And then some.
General gathered in the masses.
Peace sells, but who's buying? And
All right. Well, if you've enjoyed this episode, please leave a review. The stars do matter. If you want additional content from us, you can find us on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all those good places. Until next time, I've been John.
and I'm Jack.
And we will catch you all later.
Bye.